As a retro gamer who collects games and has a YouTube channel about it, it's hard to believe that I've never talked about limited run games before on this channel. It's also hard to believe that this game is the only game by limited run that I own in my collection. But they're becoming hard to ignore. So today I'm going to take a dive into what this company actually does and what people like about them and what people hate about them. And I'm also going to take a look at the secondhand market and tell you what some of these games are going for. Let's do it. So what TF is Limited Run Games? In a nutshell, they are a company that publishes and/or distributes physical copies of games that mainly fall into two categories. Games that were once digital only, such as Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove, which they brought to the Switch and PS4. And number two, they bring back games that were once physical, but originally went out of print, such as Radiant Silvergun. It was once a Sega Saturn game, but they brought it to the Switch. Additionally, they do collector's editions of a lot of their games. Some of those collector's editions are very robust, like this Far Cry 3 one, which has action figures, a VHS tape, and more. They are also involved in music, books, and other types of merchandise. Limited Run Games is true to their name. The things they publish are only produced in a limited amount, and they're only for sale for a limited amount of time. Sorry, there was some kind of editing problem there. Over the years, they have sold these games in a number of ways. In the past, they mainly did it by printing a certain number of copies, and then they put them up for sale at a certain time, and then the sale is taken down once they sell through them all. Sometimes they would sell out in minutes. Nowadays, they open a pre-order window, and if you place your order during that time, you will get a copy eventually. Most of their sales are done through their website, but they also sell certain games through Best Buy. Additionally, Limited Run will sometimes function as a distributor only, allowing game companies to sell through the Limited Run store. Over the years, people have developed strong opinions about Limited Run games, and many of them are negative. You can find videos on YouTube titled Limited Run Games is Awful and Limited Run Games Sucks, and so forth. So let's go through the negatives, and we'll start with the most obvious one. And that is, LRG seems to attract a lot of scalpers. That's always going to happen when you put the word limited on something. I don't speak for all gamers out there, but I believe the retro gaming community becomes less fun when the investors come into it. There's likely a lot of people buying up LRG games who are not gamers. They just want to make some extra money. Those scalpers are probably the main reason why certain games sold out within a few minutes. Sometimes LRG did not have a limit on the number of games that someone could buy at one time, so the scalper bots came in and snagged a bunch of them. At least that's what people theorize. And another effect from these scalpers is that it has led to some outrageous prices on the secondhand market, which I'll show you later on in this video. Here's a tip. If you buy one of these games off eBay, try getting one that's already been opened. That way your money is most likely going to a gamer and not a reseller. Another thing that people see as a negative is that LRG has grown very fast, and now it has so many games for sale that it's hard to keep track of it all. If you are someone who wants to collect a whole set of Vita, Switch, or PS4 games, you are engaging in the challenge of a lifetime. You're going to have a good high-paying job, and you're going to have to check the Limited Run website all the time so that you don't miss anything. Then you have to factor in that LRG may be around for decades, and they may never stop producing additional games for those systems. So it could be 15 years before we see the last Switch game produced. So good luck in collecting. Another sticking point is that it takes a long time for people to receive their games. Think about this. There are people on Reddit who have been waiting for 2 years to receive their game. Now, imagine all the things that can happen in 2 years. You could forget you even ordered it. You could move. You could, I don't know, end up in jail. A lot can happen, who knows? Now, those people waiting 2 years could just be outliers, but by far the #1 complaint I see on Reddit and Discord and other places, is the long wait after you order the game. Some people have attributed these delays to how big the company has grown. Another company acquired them in 2022, and nowadays they have so many things for sale that they seem to not be able to keep track of it all. Others say that these delays have to do with the outsourcing that LRG does with China. Naturally, something made in China takes a while to distribute around the world. Some people have pointed out that these delays should be expected due to the long life cycle of getting something published. For instance, LRG has to spend time working with the company that originally made the game to create covers and game manuals. And when it comes to Switch games, they actually have to assemble those games. And there has also been some bad press about the firing of one of their employees. I did not dig deep into it, but there are a lot of videos about it out there. A lot of them say that the company has gone woke and stuff like that. And altogether, those videos have had a lot of views. So it goes to show how Limited Run has become a pretty sizable brand name in the world of gaming. And as a result, decisions that they make are likely to become more corporate in nature, it would seem, which can sometimes be a bad thing. And one last thing that people don't like is that there doesn't seem to be any quality control over what games get published. Perhaps not every digital game deserves a physical release, or else you have to switch your name from Limited Run to Limited Fun. But there are some good things about Limited Run. They have made physical games fashionable, and they have shown that you can make a profit off of producing them. And that has caused the birth of other companies that want to do the same thing, such as Special Reserve, Super Rare, Strictly Limited. Atari has been releasing physical games, and I'm not sure what the timing was, but I assume that they were at least partially influenced by Limited Run games. If we are lucky, Microsoft and Sony may take notice and delay their move to an all-digital future. But don't get your hopes up. The thing that I like most about LRG is the simple fact that you get to own your own game. It's something I never would have thought about 10 years ago as something I would cherish so much. But you know, with the all-digital future looming upon us, it's nice to have ownership over a piece of media. You don't have to do any DRM or anything like that. But there are certain games that I'm never going to be able to own by Limited Run Games, simply because of how much they're going for on the secondhand market, which is what I want to show you next. So now I'm on eBay to show you some of the most expensive Limited Run games, some of which are going to be large lots of games. By the way, Limited Run is a generic term that people put on their eBay listings for things that are not made by Limited Run Games. So if you're doing a search, you'll want to make sure you're putting in Limited Run Games in quotes. Otherwise, you'll get game-related things that are limited, such as this Transformers-themed putter that someone paid $1,600 for. There is so much in this world that I do not understand. Is there a big market for putters? And do people take those to the golf courses? Also note, as I go through these, I will be ignoring LRG games that are graded and are encased in plastic. I just do not like covering that aspect of retro gaming. And also, there's so much fluctuation in the prices for games that are graded. So, you know, I kind of want to stay away from it. Let's start off with a big one. This is a Vita collection of Limited Run games, and it was originally listed as $350,000, our best offer. Somebody did submit an offer and it was accepted because it's showing up in the completed listings here. However, it does not tell us how much that offer was. This only shows what the asking price was, which is a really stupid thing that eBay does. They do not tell us what the offer was in these completed listings. But when we go into it, we see that it's a collection of every Vita release by Limited Run Games, and almost all of them are sealed. I love how it says free shipping. Can you imagine if they wanted to charge like $20 more on top of the $350,000 to ship it? Now, if you bought this, would you actually open these and play these games knowing how much you spent on the collection? Because if you sat down and opened all these up, you might be losing thousands of dollars in value. It would make an interesting YouTube video if I bought this and opened them all up. And by the way, I can buy this because this sale has been relisted for the same exact price. So whatever that best offer was, the deal fell through. So here's another big one. It's a $50,000 one, our best offer, and this one is for sale. It has not sold, and it's 238 Switch games. And they're all sealed. Once again, you have the same situation. If you bought this and then opened them all up, you're going to lose a lot of resale value, but maybe you just want to enjoy video games. I'm continuing to head down the ladder here, and here's a collection of 300 factory sealed PS4 games. And once again, these are all limited run games. The listing for this one is kind of weird. It says, did you make a fortune buying and selling GameStop stock? If so, use your winnings from GameStop to buy this awesome game collection. Tell all your friends on Reddit about it. It will be epic. Well, it must not be working because this is still for sale. There's so many sealed games for sale in these lots I've been showing you that you kind of wonder, are these games always going to be encased in the plastic wrap just because they're high value? And this one is Shiren the Wanderer for PC. Apologize if I'm saying that wrong. And notice it says controversial release. This seems like an eBay listing I would make. Limited Run Games said 60 something people bought these and 80 something were made. This was a controversial release. Limited Run Games advertised a physical DRM free release on disc, but it shipped with a Steam code, and they did not inform people that it was just going to be a code until it was time to ship. So this does not include the game on a disc, only a Steam code is inside this packaging. Okay, so that seems barbaric. Okay, so here's a weird limited run thing that I've seen. I'm not sure if I fully understand it, but they print cards, and I think those cards come with some of the games or something like that. And they also sell the actual printing plate for those cards. And I think those cards come in what is called a blind box. This listing is for 10 of them, even though it only shows one, and that appears to be just a stock image, so I would be very careful if I bought from this seller. But they want $600, and I believe you can possibly get some of those printing plates in these packages. We got Jack 2, Jack 3, and Jack X sealed PS4 games here. These boxes are gigantic, and this was an auction that ended at $850. It's a little bit more reasonable than everything I've been showing up to this point. Then we have an SNK collection, and these are nice looking boxes that look like the original Neo Geo boxes, but they actually have PS4 games inside, and they also have some other stuff inside, but they are asking for $700. Here we have the Outlast Murkoff Briefcase Edition for the Nintendo Switch. It sold for an equivalent of $546 US, and it is a Switch game. Night in the Woods Collector's Edition is available for $600 on the Nintendo Switch. Monkey Island Anthology, brand new, $500, our best offer. By far one of the most talked about series that Limited Run is involved with is the Shantae series. And here we have a lot of Switch and PS4 games. There were 45 bids on this, and it went for $570. Here's some Shantae Collector's Edition PS5 games, and these had 17 bids, and it ended up selling for $387. And this is a single listing asking for $549, and it's Shantae and the Pirate's Curse Collector's Edition, and this one has been opened, it looks like. So yeah, there's a lot of high-priced games out there, but there also appears to be some inexpensive limited run games out there. I found this listing for Contra Anniversary Collection, and it actually sold for 99 cents, plus around $6 shipping. So maybe this was some kind of accident or something, and no one saw it except for one person or whatever, but it was an auction, and it only had one bid. Then we have this game called Thea for the Nintendo Switch, and it had two bids, and it sold for $4.27. I'll just scroll through here and show you other low-priced limited run games that have sold, some of these look like they're sealed and they're still selling for around $10 or whatever. So I guess when we're talking about limited run games to each other, we shouldn't scream out, they're so expensive, you know. It just depends on what game you're trying to get. If it's Shantae, yes, they're expensive. But it looks like they've made so many games out there and so many people bought them and put them on eBay that the prices have come down from the original sale prices. I know I have a lot of collectors in my audience, so I would like to know, do any of you collect limited run games? And if so, how many do you have? And do you still buy from them, or has it become a little bit too hard to keep track of? So just let me know down in the comments. In the meantime, I have a couple of awesome videos on the screen being recommended to you right now, so feel free to check those out. And I guess I'll see you next video.